everyone, Susu here, and today is my first ever just for YouTube video. If you've been watching me for a little while, you've noticed that most of my videos are compilations of my Twitch streams or highlights from them. So today I'm actually doing one of my most requested videos, and that's showing you guys some of my favorite knives from my knife collection. I've been collecting knives since around late 2020, so about 2 years now. And I have probably over 60 so far in my collection. I'm not showing every single one. Today we're just going to be focusing on the ones that I like best and the ones that I greatly recommend to beginners looking to get into the knife hobby, or my top recommendations for people that already have a knife collection or maybe looking to add something new to their collection, whatever. I'm not good at this. It's so weird when I'm not streaming. Wow. Okay, let's just get into it. Let's begin with one of the most popular and well-known knife brands, and that's Benchmade. This one is my Benchmade Bushcrafter, and I mainly got this one because I really liked the color. I'm a big fan of fixed blade knives. I like the full tang. For newbies, full tang is when you can pretty much see the knife go all the way down like this, down the hilt. And I just really like that. I think that's very nice. Fixed blades just have a very secure feeling. When you flip a blade out, like here's one of my smaller flip blades. When you flip this out, it needs to lock in place, or else it has that potential to fold in on itself. So you have to make sure you have a good locking mechanism when it comes to flip blades. But with fixed blades, there's no worry about things slipping or anything. It's just pretty straightforward. And the Bushcrafter is one of my favorites because not only is it beautiful to look at, the balance is incredible. I love the way that the handle feels. The material is like I'm not even sure what this material for the handle is. They didn't really include that information, but it has a really sturdy and tough feel to it. And it has a little bit of texture to it to kind of help with no slip. The overall length of the entire knife is around 9 inches, the blade length being at around 4 inches, which is great because a lot of places say that the highest blade length you can carry on yourself is around 5 inches, so this is just under that. The blade material is CPM S30V. I probably said that totally wrong, but I can't memorize every single different kind of knife metal, but I've heard very good things about that specific type of metal. And I also like that it's got this nice little drop point here. I think that just gives it a very lovely shape. It's got a flat blade grind, which I also very much like, and it has a stone wash finish and pretty much just kind of a plain edge type. Let's take a closer look. You can really see the little texturization of the stone wash finish. It's also kind of a nice slate gray as opposed to that shiny silvery look. The handle, you can get a better look at the very lovely texture and color of it. And as usual, you can see the cute Benchmade butterfly logo close to the spine. And this was actually my first Benchmade. And when I got it and I unboxed it, I actually have an unboxing video on my channel. When I unboxed it, I was amazed. I could definitely feel the quality, and I could definitely understand why Benchmade is such a popular and respected brand. When you hold a Benchmade for the first time, I don't know, it just has compared to the other knives I had, it just felt so balanced. I could almost forget that I was even holding it. It's kind of scary. You don't want to forget you're holding a knife, but it's very comfortable. So I don't know, I guess that's the best way I could describe holding a Benchmade, is it feels comfortable. It fits in my hand really nicely, and I definitely recommend the 162 Bushcrafter from Benchmade to anybody looking to add a Benchmade to their collection, or to anybody that... I definitely recommend the 162 Bushcrafter from Benchmade for anybody who's looking to add their first Benchmade to their collection, or somebody who loves Benchmade but just doesn't have it yet. Our next Benchmade is the Benchmade Osborne with the Axis lock. And I really like the color of the natural G10 handle. It's got this pretty jade. I like that it's translucent so that you can see the inner workings of the knife. I love the matte black blade here. I think that's so lovely, and it's such a wonderful contrast with the jade on the handle. The cool thing about the Axis lock, and this is how you put the blade back in, you pull down the Axis lock, and you flip it back in. But the cool thing about that is that it comes with the thumb screws on the side here, which help with ambidextrous deployment. And that basically means I can deploy the blade with my right hand. Whee! And since there's thumb screws on the other side too, I can also deploy with my left hand. I'm not good at deploying with my left hand, so I normally don't. But if you ever had to, you definitely can. I also prefer flip blades with a bit of the flip instead. I'm not very good with the thumb screws, so this isn't a blade that I carry for my everyday carry, but it's so lovely that I definitely had to add it to my collection. And I would like you guys to take a close look here. You can see the inner workings through the translucent handle, which is so pretty. That matte black against the silver of the blade is lovely as well. I like that they put the butterfly logo in white there so it stands out. And here's a closer look at the thumb screws on the side. And a better look at the axis lock here. I'm pulling it. Here's a better look at the way that the axis lock works. I'm gonna pull it and it shuts. Very cool. I'm a big fan. So the overall length of this blade is 7 inches. That includes the handle. The blade length itself is around 3 inches. It's also made out of the CPM steel, CPM M4. The blade style is apparently a reverse TANTO, which is quite interesting. Again, it has the lovely flat grind, which I love so much, the matte black finish, and it has a plain edge type. Moving on, we have yet another Benchmade, and this one is the Benchmade LEUKU. And I was very attracted to the pretty much straight shape of this blade. It just kind of remains straight throughout the handle, all the way to the tip here. It's got a slight drop point, but for the most part, it's quite straight, unlike me. And it also has a lovely satiny finish. The overall length is 9 inches. The blade length is 5 inches. And the steel type is CPM 3V. The handle here is a Santoprene material, and the color is Ranger Green. The handle itself feels very nice and secure. It's kind of got that like a rubbery texture, almost like a tire. So you have good grip. So if the blade gets wet or you got sweaty hands, you don't really have to worry about your hand slipping up into the blade. The one thing that made me nervous about this is that it doesn't really have a guard edge here. So I do kind of worry about, like, if I do a stabbing motion, I worry about my hands slipping up. And that's why this one isn't really an everyday carry for me, but I think that it's a wonderful addition to my collection. I'm very happy with it. It cuts beautifully, and as long as you're careful and have a good grip, I think that you'll be fine with that no guard edge here. In fact, I kind of think it makes it look cooler. Let's get a close-up look here. That Ranger Green color on the handle is really cool. I really like the satin finish. I like that you can kind of see a bit of the texturization of the metal here as well. I would assume that this one is probably full tang, even though we can't see it. But I really like the way that it feels. It's lightweight, it's really nice and balanced, as are pretty much all of my Benchmade knives. The patterning here kind of makes me think of like a turtle, or like a reptile of some sort, and I'm a really big reptile fan, so that's another thing that drew me to this specific blade. The next blade that I'll be showing you guys is also one of my first Benchmades. I bought the Benchmade Bushcrafter and this next blade together, so this one I also unboxed on stream, so if you want to check out the unboxing video, I'll link it at the end of this video or in the description, whatever. I think you guys might like it. But the next one is the Benchmade Tengu Flipper. So this one, I was really excited when I saw it for a multitude of reasons. First being the wonderful Damascus steel on the blade, which they call Dama steel. Benchmade calls Dama steel. I also really liked this black and white kind of marbly texture on the handle here. And I love the blue details. I love the blue details as well. So you guys can get a better look at that. You guys can get a better look at the blade here, and you can see the beautiful Damascus patterning, all those lovely swirls and squiggles, which I think looks super fantastic. I love the way it shines. It kind of looks like the texture looks kind of like an oil spill. It's really cool. And this patterning, it was apparently a limited edition, and they called it Bifrost, I believe, for the handle here. And it's one of my most expensive blades, even though it's one of the smallest, and definitely not one that I use for everyday carry, basically because I just don't want anything to happen to it. Way too expensive to go shanking people with, you know? It also has a really cool patterning on the safety edge here. So the safety side of the blade is basically just the side that the blade does not flip out of. And you can see it's like got this translucent safety guard here with some little swirls inside. The swirls are actually really sparkly. I wish that the camera could pick that up better. It's really hard to do this blade justice when you're not seeing it in person. It's called a flipper because it's just kind of a manual flip blade. So let's close it back up. And like I mentioned before, I definitely prefer flip blades with the little flipper tab here over the thumb screws, because I find it a lot easier to deploy and a lot quicker for me. This one is really fun to flip too. I also really like that the locking mechanism here has a beautiful, like a metallic-y blue pattern, and you can see that on the inside here too. Just overall a really lovely and beautiful blade, and I'm very happy to have this in my collection. Okay, one more flip. I just love that, it's so satisfying. Next, I'd like to move on to another very popular and well-respected knife brand, and that is Spyderco. So Spyderco is mainly known for their flip blades and that distinct circle cutout that they have in all of their blades. But they actually make some really nice fixed blades as well, which I'm very happy to have in my collection. One of those being one of my personal favorite knives, the Spyderco Providence. So Spyderco doesn't make a lot of fixed blades, but when they do, they are truly, truly incredible. And here we have the Spyderco Providence fixed blade knife with the black G10 handle, satin finish on the blade, an overall length of 12 inches. The blade is around 7 inches long, and the blade style is a clip point. We also have that beautiful flat grind and the satin finish on the blade as well. I actually bought this one in person. A lot of my knives I purchase online, but this one I saw it in person and I could not believe my eyes. I was like, whoa, I didn't know that Spyderco makes fixed blades like this. Now this one is truly awesome. And even though it's a fixed blade, Spyderco always adds that little trademark round hole on the blade side. So here we have a nice close-up look of the blade. I got this one used, so there's a couple little dings and scratches here, but overall I think it was in really good condition. I'm excited to have it in my collection. I really love Spyderco. I love their cute little spider logo. As you guys know, I own around 20 tarantulas, so definitely a spider fan and a Spyderco fan. The handle here has that really cool patterning. It's actually very smooth to the touch, even though the patterning kind of looks like it would give it some texture. You can see the full tang. See the full tang here. You can see it from the front as well. If you can see it from the front, wait till you see it from the back. I already showed it from the back. Okay, that joke wasn't very good. But anyway, I really love this blade. And despite it being so big, it's still really lightweight and nicely balanced, as most Spydercos are. You just get that really nice quality when it comes to Spyderco. So this one was a bit more on the expensive side, but the steel is CPM 4V, so I think that explains why we kind of have that boost in price. Spyderco is well known for using really amazing high quality steel. This one cuts really awesome too. And speaking of Spyderco and fixed blades, I have another one from them, and this one is the Spyderco Bow River. And what attracted me to this blade was I love that beautiful, smooth, shiny finish on the blade. I really, really like the handle as well. It's got such a cool, like spirally black and white pattern, full tang as well. You can see it going along. You can see the full tang here. So here you can get a better look. As usual, you got the cute Spyderco logo. I love that finish. It's got that really, really nice flat grind. This blade is super, super thin and sharp. It cuts through paper so, so easily. And I really, really love the overall aesthetic of it. I like the trailing point. So the trailing point is kind of how the tip goes, slowly, gradually goes up like that, which is really, really cute to me. It's got a satin finish. The overall length of this one is 8 inches with a 4-inch blade length. And it also has a black and gray G10 handle. And I just really love the overall look of it. It's so, so lovely. And this knife was actually a collaboration between Spyderco and Phil Wilson, who is one of Spyderco's most popular collaborators apparently, and is a very well-known hunter and fisherman. And he incorporates his experience with like outdoor stuff into the knife designs that he makes. You can see Phil Wilson's name here on the other side of the blade here. It's like etched in, which is really cool. So I've showed you guys 2 of my Spyderco fixed blades, and now I'm going to show you one of my wonderful flip blades, and that one is the Spyderco Swayback. And I got this one because I really, really like, I really liked the shape of this blade, and I believe this blade shape is called a sheep hoof blade, which is a very cute and interesting name. I guess it's because it kind of has that like hoof-like shape. As usual, we have the thumb hole here, and the thumb hole in this design actually plays part in its deployment. So you can see the nice locking mechanism here. I love how beautifully the lock blends in on this one. So we're gonna pull that aside, put that back in. The hole here is how you're supposed to deploy the blade. However, with my nails, I kind of have a hard time with it. So I usually kind of just deploy it like this. I know it doesn't look very cool, but it's safer for me to do it that way. And you can hear it lock nicely into place. Let's get a closer look here. I really love that gunmetal gray color on the handle. I love that the handle also kind of has this little sway along it, which makes sense because it's called the Swayback. And the overall length of this one is 8 inches with around a 3.5 inch blade length. The handle is actually made out of titanium, which I think is very, very cool. It's got a hollow grind. The ambidextrous clip positioning is really cool as well. It's made out of a CTS XHP steel. Here you can see the other side of the blade. I like that lovely clip that it has here. It looks really nice. I like that they included the Spyderco logo on the clip too. That's a very, very cute detail. And overall, I think that this blade, just like the other Spydercos that I have, is very lightweight, well balanced, and lovely. It just has a nice aesthetic as well as being functional and easy to use. Well, if you can get your fingers in the thumb hole. And speaking of thumb holes, here is the last Spyderco in my collection. And you know what they say, size doesn't mean everything. This is the Spyderco SQUEAK. Yes, that is the actual name. And I just think it's such a cute knife. It cuts really well despite being small, and the fact that it has a smaller blade is actually pretty useful for places that have more strict carry laws. California, for example. In California, you can't carry a switchblade over 2 inches. So this is the perfect addition to people in California's weapons arsenal. That was worded a bit weird, but you guys get what I mean. But the overall length is around 5 inches, which I hear is average size. The blade length is 2 inches. And I think that it's just super, super cute. I love the clip over here on the side. I love the pink handle. To be honest, the pink handle was one of the biggest reasons why I got it. I feel like it's pretty hard to find a nice blade in pink. A lot of blades that are pink are marketed towards women, and they're kind of like those like silly women's self-defense type of knives that aren't really that high of quality. And they're always kind of overpriced too. But I thought this was a really, really cute looking knife as well as being good quality. It's super light, as you could imagine with something this tiny. It has a full flat grind, and again, you pull it out through the thumb hole here. This one doesn't have an inner locking mechanism, and by that I mean the kind of locking mechanism that you pull to the side to get the knife back in. You basically just kind of push it into position like this. And it's pretty sturdy. I've never had any issue with this knife slipping out when I don't want it to. But again, because it has that little thumb hole, I don't have the easiest time deploying it. So I don't use this for my everyday carry. But if you have an easy time with the thumb holes here, that's great because it allows for, again, the ambidextrous deployment. So you can pull it out with your left hand or your right hand. Here is a closer look. You can see the cute Spyderco spider on the handle there, and that smaller but still very, very powerful blade. I love the full flat grind here, and that's why the blade looks nice and smooth, which I think is very, very pretty. And there's the other side here. And the clip that it has here is very, very sturdy, which I definitely appreciate because I don't really like my knives getting lost in my purse. So one thing that I always keep in mind for an everyday carry for myself is it easy to deploy, and does it have a clip? So again, since I don't have an easy time deploying this because that freaking thumb hole, I don't really carry this on me for everyday use. And since I just mentioned how much I love full flat grinds, I want to show you guys another one of my knives with a full flat grind, and this one is my Gerber Snody Boss. I swear I'm saying that name correctly. Snody Boss. It's a pretty funny name, but a very lovely, lovely knife. It has an overall length of 6 inches. It's got a beautiful drop point shape here. The handle material is actually Zytel. Sounds very spacey. The blade material is S3V5VN stainless steel. So, hope you're into that. Here's a closer look. I really like the texture on the handle. That pattern is really pretty. The stainless steel pommel looks awesome. And if you flip the blade, look at that. You can see the beautiful full flat grind on the other side, which I think is super awesome. I kind of like that it doesn't have the same exact look on both sides. I think that's really cool. And this is actually my first Gerber, and I'm very, very happy with the quality. I didn't really like the sheath that it came in. Not that there was anything wrong with it, I just thought it didn't look very nice. It wasn't a very aesthetic sheath. All of my Spyderco fixed blade knives come with really stylish and nice looking leather sheaths. So this one also comes with a leather sheath, but again, I didn't think it looked super cool. So docking points for unfashionable sheath. So this next knife brand is actually one of the first brands that I ever got my hands on, and I'm actually really excited to share some of my favorites from them with you guys, and that brand is Cold Steel. I'm a big fan of Lynn Thompson's fun videos that he had on YouTube before he retired from the company. You guys have probably seen Cold Steel videos even if you aren't like a super knife fan. Cold Steel used to make the funniest knife promo videos I've ever seen, and on top of being funny, they probably weren't supposed to be funny, but they were funny, and they actually did showcase how awesome their blades are. A lot of people called it gimmicky, but hey, I thought it was fun and it got me interested, so I'm really excited to share with you guys my first Cold Steel blade, the Cold Steel Marauder. And this one is very, very awesome. This is kind of one of the knives that I have that people always are like, whoa, what kind of knife is that? Where did you get that from? Like, I get a lot of compliments on this knife from fans of knives and from newbies alike, because, I mean, just look at it. It's definitely the kind of, it's a conversation starter, that's for sure. So I really, really love the Bowie knife shape. I love how it goes whoop. I've always been a fan of that fun shape, and this is funny, but what got me interested in Bowie knives was actually Scream, the horror movies. I'm a big horror movie fan, and Ghostface from the Scream movies was my favorite slasher, and I really, really loved the Bowie knives that he would use. So that got me interested in Bowie knives, and now I have one of my very own, and I'm so happy about it. Still definitely one of my favorite knives even after all these years. I definitely recommend Cold Steel for people that are interested in starting out with the knife hobby, because their blades are well made and they're very affordable. So the other brands that I've showed you guys, Kabar, Benchmade, Spyderco, those are a lot pricier, but I think brands like Cold Steel is great to start out with because you're going to get something that's good quality, it's affordable, and if you rough it up, you're not going to feel so bad because it's inexpensive. So it's good to make mistakes with the cheaper knives before you get into the more expensive knives. And this one, it wasn't the cheapest, but I think it was pretty good for what I got. And I got a 9-inch blade length, which is super awesome, an overall length of around 14 inches, Japanese stainless steel, and a wonderful like satiny finish on the blade. I love the handle very much. I like that it has a guard. I always like when there's a guard, it makes me feel safe. I like that it's got this cute little additional grip here. I also like the texture. This also has that rubbery kind of tire-like texture that makes your hand stick, so you don't feel like your hand's gonna slip, which is really nice. And despite it being such a big blade, it's actually very lightweight. I wouldn't say it's the most perfectly balanced knife that I own. There's definitely a difference between the balance on this knife and my Spyderco Providence here. So the Spyderco Providence is definitely smaller blade-wise, but I still feel good balance in the handle. Whereas this one, I can definitely feel that it's blade heavy, but that doesn't really bother me because it's cool and it wasn't very expensive either. I like that Cold Steel always likes to share the history of their knives. Lynn Thompson was very passionate, and I'm really excited to have owned some pieces from Cold Steel before he left the company. So this one was apparently inspired by the combat knives of World War II. And the name comes from Merrill's Marauders. They were a United States long-range deep penetration assault unit. So I think that's pretty cool. Very American. You're getting high quality American style stabbers when it comes to Cold Steel. I don't know, shit, I'm not good at this. But I think that it's lovely. I've had no issues with it. Slicing, stabbing, cutting, it does it all. It's really great, and I'm very happy with it. And I definitely recommend the Cold Steel Marauder Bowie knife to anybody that's looking to get into the knife hobby, especially if you're a fan of Bowie knives like I am. The handle is also made of CYCLONE, which I believe is some kind of I don't know what the hell CYCLONE is, but it's got a trademark on it, so that must mean it's special. Here's a closer look, and I just love how it shines. I love the Bowie shape, it's so pretty, and I like that Cold Steel kind of includes the names along the side here. I think that's kind of a cute addition. And on the other side here, you can see the Cold Steel brand. It's nice. It's a knife. So that last blade that I showed you from Cold Steel it's one of the more popular knives in my collection. I've taken several photos with it. A lot of people ask about it, but this next one is also very flashy and very popular as well, even though I haven't showcased it in as many photos. But this next one is the Cold Steel Magnum 12 Tanto. I love that name. Magnum knife for my Magnum dong. Sorry. Anyway, the blade length itself is a whopping 12 inches, made of VG10 Sanmai steel. The handle is around 5 to 6 inches, again made with that ultra special CYCLONE material, and the overall length is 18 inches. It comes with a sheath as well. All of my Cold Steel blades come with sheaths, in case you were wondering. And I love the wonderful satin finish here. The hollow grind is lovely. I love that beautiful line that runs along the blade here. Very neat. I really like the oval shaped guard here on the handle. It's really cute. I like that the material is again that nice rubbery material. I think that's their craton. They say it's a CRAX craton, and it's apparently a cold steel innovation, which I think is pretty neat. I love the stainless steel pommel here. I always like knives with a pretty pommel, and this one definitely has one. I love that the guard here has that stainless steel on it. It's super, super cool. And again, this one is really lightweight despite how long the blade is. I've cut things with it. There's actually a video of me on my Clips channel slicing a cucumber in half with this. Or actually, maybe that was one of my smaller tantos. Either way, the cold steel blades are really, really fun. Don't play with them, they're not toys, but I mean, I have fun with them. They slice very well, they stab very well, they're not too heavy, they're relatively affordable for how much knife you're getting, and I really like their old videos. Unfortunately, they stopped making those super fun weapons testing videos that they used to do. They kind of started getting a little more serious, but I don't know, maybe I could make a cold steel inspired weapons testing video. What do you guys think? Leave a comment. Let's take a closer look again here. Look how shiny and pretty that Sanmai steel is. It's really cool. And continuing on with my cold steel blades, the next one we have is the Cold Steel OSS. And this one is different than my other blades in that it's got two cutting edges. So both sides here slice. So I have to be careful in handling these because sometimes when I'm holding my knives, I kind of idly like to rest the spine on my hand, but can't really do that with this one. Gotta be very careful. So the overall length is 13 inches with a blade length of 8 inches. It's made of Japanese stainless steel again, and it's got the CYCLONE on the handle. It also has that fun grip here that I think is really neat. I like that it's got the guard as usual. It has the OSS written down here. It's a cute detail. And it's very, very, very lightweight. I'd say this one is a bit better balanced than my other cold steel knives that I showed you guys right now. I feel like this one has a pretty nice balance, in fact. And one thing that I think is kind of fun about the shape of cold steel handles, especially the ones with this little trigger here, is it kind of reminds me of a gun. Like a gun blade, you know? So I really like that shape here. I like the little trigger for additional grappling. And overall, I think it's very lovely. And again, it's got two cutting edges, so I gotta be careful. Here's a closer look. Again, with that lovely shiny steel. And I just think it's super nice. This next knife from Cold Steel is a bit different than the other knives in that it actually has some serration along the cutting edge, which is what made me interested in getting it in the first place. And this is the Cold Steel Kobun. It's got a blade length of around 5 inches, overall length of 9 inches, Japanese stainless steel again with the CYCLONE handle here. It's got a little tiny oval shaped guard that I think is really cute. I like that a lot. And it's a TANTO style blade again. And that serration, those little teeth down along the bottom, is really, really cool. The name of this blade, Kobun, actually comes from the Japanese word kobun, which is apparently supposed to indicate rank in Japan, and I think it means something like soldier. At least that's what Cold Steel says. And I guess this blade is supposed to be like reliable, like a soldier. And here, check out the serration. Isn't that cool? I really, really like that serrated blade edge. It's really neat. Ignore the little lint pieces. I try so hard not to get lint on my knives. Just pretend you don't see it. So this next blade that I'm going to show you guys is probably the one that I get the most comments on. And that one is my M48 CYCLONE. And I think just looking at it, you guys can understand why this one gets a lot of comments. A lot of people, when they see this blade, they realize that it's a Jagdkommando style blade. And a lot of people think that the Jagdkommando is banned from warfare by the Geneva Convention, but I think that this is a misconception, because I read that the actual knife that was banned is the World War I trench knife, and that is a knife with a triangular tip used to pretty much make wounds more difficult to heal It was for close quarter combat during World War I, where a lot of the fighting took place in the trenches. And that one was banned by the Geneva Convention. And so are like similar triangle-shaped blades. But the Jagdkommando was never used in World War I or II. So I think that people read about the ban on triangle-bladed knives, and I guess that does apply to the Jagdkommando, but again, the Jagdkommando was never specifically banned by the Geneva Convention. That's kind of like it's a bit of a misconception that I think a lot of people repeat because it hypes up the blade. It's also called the deadliest knife in the world and things like that, and that's because with the triple blades here, it makes wounds that instead of going like a flat incision, it's like a circle. It kind of hollows out whatever it stabs into, which definitely makes it harder to clean up. But again, this one wasn't banned by the Geneva Convention, and it's not a banned knife to own. As you can see, I have one in my hands. I got it off Amazon. A lot of people, whenever they see me with this knife, they're like, oh my god, that knife is banned by the Geneva Convention, and they just flip out about it. Yeah, that is a misconception. It was actually the World War I trench knife that was banned. And I guess that means this knife is banned by proxy because of the triangle shape. But again, it wasn't ever specifically the Jagdkommando that was banned. In fact, I can't find any instances of the Jagdkommando used in warfare. So if you know more about it, feel free to share. I could even make a video showcasing all the fun stuff I can do with this blade. I specifically got it because of that tri-dagger shape. When I saw it, I thought, that's gonna make some fun stab holes. And it definitely does. When I stab stuff with it, if I don't twist the blade, it kind of does like a little star shape, which I think is actually very, very cute. But if you do a stab and a twist, it definitely hollows out and makes a circle. But the thing about this blade is that it doesn't slice. It's made entirely for stabbing. So you kind of have to get a good bit of force behind it. And if you're like me, which means not very large, the pommel design here can make it a bit hard to get the force necessary unless you do an overhanded stab like this. And overhanded stabs are kind of the only way that I've been able to get this knife to get particularly deep into anything. If I were to do a thrust, ideally I would like to kind of be able to put my hand behind the pommel here and jab it in, but I clearly can't do that with this cool but kind of annoying triangle shape. And I think it's really fun that they call this the Skull Crusher Pommel. I don't know, that's really fun. I've tried this out, and it definitely does make quite the incision, and you can smash a coconut with it, which is quite sick. But anyway, more about the blade itself. This one has an 8-inch stainless steel blade. It's got a fiberglass reinforced nylon handle and the stainless steel Skull Crusher Pommel. That's what they call it. I'm not just making it up. I think that's quite a fun theatrical name, so I definitely enjoy it. An overall length of around 13 inches, and it comes with a really cool looking sheath. I keep all my knives in my display cases on these racks, so I don't have the sheath on me, but trust me, the sheath looks pretty cool. It snaps nicely into place on the sheath. This one's not very heavy either. It's fun to hold, and the times that I've gotten the best stabs were, again, using like the overhand stab, sometimes two-handed. Let's take a closer look. And again, the blades here aren't really sharp. They don't really slice. The only way that you can get any damage with this is a stab. So keep that in mind. I really like the little skull and lightning bolt logo. I think that's very cute. I like the shape too, that they keep that cylindrical shape all throughout, like the handle, all the way down to the tip of the blade. It's just a very cohesive shape, which is really cool. Here's a better look at the Skull Crusher Pommel. But yeah, that is the M48 Cyclone fixed blade knife, which I get so many comments about. I am super interested in the history of the Jagdkommando, and this blade has a lot of notoriety, I guess, because of the Geneva Convention misconception thing that a lot of people believe in, but I just think it's fun. I got it because I thought it's neat, and it is fun. It's very fun to stab things with this. I like the shapes that it makes. If you have any more information about the Jagdkommando and the Geneva Convention, feel free to comment. I did a lot of research about it and I wasn't really able to find anything that specifically said the Jagdkommando blade is the one that's banned. However, like I said, I did find information about the World War I trench knife being banned and that being a triangular shaped blade. So I feel like with the triangle shaped blades being banned, that does pass on down to the Jagdkommando, but again, I don't think the Jagdkommando itself is the reason for that ban, as I could not find any information that backed that claim up. But I don't know, if you got some more info, feel free to share. So those are a lot of my favorite knives, but that's not the only knives that I wanted to show you guys today. I also have plenty of other knives that I would highly recommend to anybody that's looking to start collecting. Another cold steel that I forgot to talk more in depth about is the Cold Steel SRK. And remember when I said that getting cheaper knives is the best way to learn from your mistakes without causing yourself too much grief? Well, with this knife, I learned that I'm not able to use my mineral oil that I use on all my other blades. I'm not able to use that on this style of blade. And that's because it's actually not the stainless steel material here. And as you can see, because I used oil on this, it ended up getting like this unfortunate kind of waxy residue along it, and I ordered some Goo Gone to get rid of that waxy buildup. So this is the only blade that I have that I can't really use my white mineral oil on. All my other blades have no problem with it, and it makes them nice and shiny. But yeah, this one, big mistake putting that on this blade, and I'm pretty upset about it because otherwise it's a really cool blade. I really like the matte black finish, but yeah, things that are matte black, I don't think I should put oil on ever again. Oops. So let's check out some of my other knives so here's some more knives that I like, but I don't really want to go as in-depth about because they're not my super favorites like the other knives that I showed you. But these are all really great, good quality, and pretty inexpensive, so I definitely recommend them to newer collectors. Here we have one of my Gerber blades. And I got this one because I liked that it's got like a stonewash finish and it has that really cool electric blue color. The handle itself feels kind of rubbery, and you guys know I like that rubberized material because it definitely feels secure. I love the shape. Let's take a closer look here because the handle, if you look closely, it actually has this cute little etched in pattern along it that you can't really see from afar, which I think is a very cool detail. The nice stonewash finish, full tang. It's a very nice blade and not very expensive at all. Here's another Gerber. This one's a bit smaller. I got this because, again, I don't know, I just really like that shape that they have. And this handle feels really cool. It's also the kind of rubberized material, but it's smooth, but not slippery. It's just such an interesting feel. Again, full tang. This one's really lightweight, very nicely balanced, and super cute. Let's get a nice closer look here. So this knife is the Gerber Ultimate. It's really cool because in addition to being a fun knife that you can use to cut and stab things with, it has that nice serration on it, and it can also be used to strike for a fire. It's a fire striker. It comes with a fire striking edge, and it also has a whistle. But yeah, it's very cool, definitely tactical, something that you can take with you on a camping trip. And let's take a closer look so you guys can see that nice serration. And over here you see that it's got the little flame on it, because you can use this knife as a fire striker. Super awesome. Next knife here is my SOG, and I don't own a lot of SOG knives, but this one is really, really nice. I got it at a gas station. People always talk about like, oh, gas station knives, but yeah, you can get this brand at a gas station, and it is pretty solid. I like the jimping along here, and what jimping is basically texturization added onto the knife to make it easier for you to grip onto. Basically all that is. And the pommel down here also has like a fun little texturing on it, which I like. Fun shape, nice rubberized handle. I like that it's got these grooves in it for your fingers. Feels very secure. Very nice. And I really like how they have their logo along the handle here. Really neat. This one is the Cold Steel Peacemaker. No affiliation with John Cena. But I really like this. It's super lightweight. It cuts fantastically. And it also comes with a sheath, of course. And speaking of smaller cold steel blades, we also got the Cold Steel Hideout, which is double-sided, just like the Cold Steel OSS, and deceptively powerful. I used this knife to stab a squash once, and I was having a hard time breaching the tough skin of the squash with some of my bigger knives. But this one, it buried in so easily. It's super thin, super sharp, and those double edges on the blades definitely helps get that squash penetration, if that's what you're looking for. And this one is the Cold Steel Hideout, which is a good name for it because it's small. This one here is my Kaiser blade. I got Kaiser because it's affordable and I heard good things about it. I had lots of good reviews, and from what I've experienced with this knife is that it is pretty good. It's a nice budget blade and it's also really, really pretty. I love that blue coloring. It's solid. This one's got the thumb studs as well. And I'm not a super big fan of deploying using thumb studs, basically because I don't know what it is about them, but I can't really flip the blade out quickly with them. So this isn't something I would use for an everyday carry either, but it's a nice blade. I like that it's got the pretty clip here. It's very lightweight. I haven't had any issues with it. It cuts very well. And again, it's not that expensive and has a nice stone wash finish. Kaiser is a pretty decent brand. See the logo on the side there. And speaking of more decent and affordable brands, this next brand, the name speaks for itself, and that name is Civivi. Yes, that is actually what it's called. Yes, I'm pronouncing it correctly, Civivi. And I really like Civivi because here's one of the blades. They come in such a fun variety of colors, and they have Damascus blades that are actually quite affordable. Personally, I think that their prices are on the lower end, especially for things like Damascus, and they look really nice. They're solid. I have had no issues cutting or slicing or stabbing, or I've had no issues deploying these. I've had no issues with any of the lock mechanisms being shoddy. They're nicely balanced. I really like them. Like I said, they look pretty nice too. So let's take a closer look. I also really like that the Civivi logo, that C on the side, kind of reminds me of like the Capsule Corp logo from Dragon Ball. And look at that cool Damascus patterning on the blade. It looks so trippy. I love it. And the handle is really cool too. Fun color, awesome texture, cool pattern. Just an all-around fun blade. And this one doesn't have that inner locking mechanism. And personally, my only critique for this is that it does have a flip, but the flip is so tiny. You can barely see it. Look at it. It's at the top here. It's super tiny. So I don't have the easiest time flipping this blade, but I got it because affordable Damascus, and it looks cool. Now this next Civivi blade, I have a much easier time deploying, which I like, and it has that fun purple color on the handle. It also has Damascus steel, and I like how shiny it is. And this one's got like a thick kind of leaf-shaped blade, which is very, very cool. Take a look at that. Again, with the fun-looking kind of Capsule Corp-esque logo. And you can see all that lovely Damascus patterning. And because this one has the inner locking mechanism, but because this one has a better flipper, well, bigger, it's a lot easier for me to deploy, which I feel a lot more confident with. So this one is a blade that I would consider for everyday carry, but I'm actually very happy with my current everyday carry, so I don't know. But if I wanted to switch things up, this one would definitely be easy for me to use. It's super light. It's got the nice clip so I don't lose it in my purse, or I could clip it to my pocket. Again, super fun and easy to flip. I love a good flip. Last flip. It's just so satisfying. I have a few more left that I'd like to show you. So this one was actually a gift from my partner's dad for Christmas. And this is this beautiful bark river knife, which when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, this is such a great present. Such a good Christmas present. I'm very, very happy with it. I like it a lot. I think that it's a very solid blade. I had never owned a bark river knife before, but after getting gifted this, I'm definitely very, very interested in this company. Full tang, as you can see. It has this really cool patterning along the handle, and the handle is also kind of smooth, just like the Spyderco Providence handle. It's got the similar kind of, I wonder if it's like fiberglass or something. It's a similar kind of tough texture to it, and I really like that. It also has some jimping here, which is super cute. And I like that blue lining along the tang. It looks really pretty. And this knife is super well balanced as well. I was really impressed by it. I'm like, damn, I definitely want to get more into bark river. I would recommend. This other knife that was also a gift, but this one from my best friend Tasha. This knife is called an ulu, and it's a all-purpose knife originally used by the Inuits. And usually the way that you use it is kind of by rocking it back and forth to chop up vegetables and things like that. I used this blade in the video where I tried to cook for my cats, and I was kind of like rocking it back and forth to cut fish bits, but my cats did not like the food, which is very unfortunate. However, this knife performed fantastically, and I'm very, very happy to own it, and I'm very glad that my wonderful best friend Tasha gifted me something so lovely. It has such beautiful craftsmanship. Just look at that. The carved etchings along the handle, the beautiful Damascus patterning. I really love this ulu. It's so cool. One of my favorites, because it was a gift from my lovely friend. The next blade that I would like to show you guys is my everyday carry, or EDC, and that is the Kershaw Leek. And I really like this blade because it's small, it's lightweight, it's got a clip for me to be able to put it into my purse. It deploys really easily. I also really like that it has this awesome frame lock that you can see down here. Let me show you guys. Right here. So that locks it into place when you're not using it. And I find that this blade is actually pretty easy for me to deploy. Let me show you guys. It has a pretty decent little flipper here. Very smooth deploy, as you can see. So I really like this blade. It cuts fantastically. It's lightweight. It just does all the things that I like, and it has a very lovely, if you look closely, you can see that little streak down the middle of the blade. It's very faint, but it's got this cool red streak that goes down the middle, which I really like. It's got a reverse Tanto style blade with a plain edge, and I really like the gunmetal color, and it just works very nicely for me. Stainless steel, easy to sharpen, super easy to deploy, and it also has the thumb studs for ambidextrous deployment, but you guys know I kind of suck at that, but if you're into that, it's got it. And that's pretty much it for my blade video. I hope that you guys liked seeing some of my favorite knives from my collection. Like I said, I still have more different types of knives and other kinds of weapons. If you're interested in seeing a weapons testing vid from me, let me know. Also, if you're interested in a video where I go more in depth about the Jagdkommando, please also let me know. And tell me in the comments which your favorite was. Tell me about your EDC if you're new in the hobby. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching.